Hello there, and welcome back to episode number 5 of Winning the Division NFL centric podcast. As week 3 in the NFL is drawing to a close tonight with Monday Night Football doubleheader. Tonight we'll get there. But my name's Ryan Smith. I co-host this podcast with Ben Troupe, former NFL tight end, also for the Florida Gators as well. And tonight we have an original Carolina Panther with us on the show. Also Green Bay Packers as well, played at the University of Pittsburgh as a wide receiver. Now he's doing some great things in the coaching world, and I will let him tell you about that. But let's welcome to the program Coach Elbert Ellis in Primetown Scouting. Coach, how are you?
Gentlemen, I'm doing fine. Ryan, Ben, thank you guys for having me on your show.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Let's just get right into it. We'll get into the primetime scouting in a bit, but this is rare breed. I'm talking to an original Carolina Panther of 1995. The Panthers, let's start out with them, 37 rather, to a 22 win over the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday in Las Vegas. The Panthers are back. Ben knows I am a Panther fan. Ben is not a Panthers fan. We won't say what he is for the listeners to figure that out. But talk to us about, first off, just being on the 95 team, kind of starting out your career in Charlotte as a Panther, and just an expansion franchise that they were at the time. And then what did you see with the Panthers in yesterday's victory over the Raiders?
So I got into the league kind of strangely. I was a track and field guy out of the University of Pittsburgh, All-American 6 times, and ran on 3 USA teams. Well, I ended up taking a ride on a bus quite a few times. I was a school teacher at a school called Mighty Christian Academy. And bus driver asked me what I did every day. I told him I was a teacher. I was trying to get to the combine because they saw me run at the for the Pan Am games, and I got third, and it was in dead last, and I caught everybody. So I got to go on the podium. But they've been looking for me since '91. So of course '94 rolls around. Dave Zimmer, the bus driver, gets me to my agent Sean Flaherty. Sean Flaherty plays golf with Neil O'Donnell. All that happened between a Monday to a Thursday. By Thursday, I'm running 4.38 on Coach Cowell's watch and doing 10'5" in the stand-up broad jump. And thank you, Jesus, I'm in the NFL. What can I say? So, but that's how I got there. But I ended up playing with Pittsburgh, New England, of course, original Panther from the first team, Chiefs and the Jets. But Dom Capers was my coach. He was also my defensive coordinator with the Steelers. So he saw me catching balls against the great Rod Woodson and Deion Figures and other defensive backs, and that's how I got there. And the Panthers were nothing but first class. Played with Dwight Stone. Kerry Collins was the third-string quarterback back then. I believe it was Frank Reich and Berline quarterbacking, Metzelaars, BB. So it was a nice handful of veteran guys with a couple of little young bucks bouncing around. Great team, the incredible, magnanimous Sam Mills, middle linebacker extraordinaire. I don't know how that man played it at 5'9". That makes no sense to me, but yeah. So, but it was a great, great time back in Charlotte in the early days when Charlotte was growing and being there.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. We'll get into the game in a second. We'll get into the game in a second.
Hold on. I mean, listen, you get a ride over there. You put your hand down. Them scouts like, we got, that's people like, that's Elbert Ellis. Yeah, he a track runner. Yeah, but he trying to play football. Then that 4.38 is fast back then. 4.38 is fast right now. 4.38 was out of this world fast back then. Yes. What are the scouts? You run that Elbert, and then you run it. What are the scouts saying right after? Because I'm pretty sure you heard a couple of, because 4.38 for people who don't know, 4.4 is extremely fast. You talking about 4.38, and that's on the clock. That's with your hand down. I don't know if you had talk about that experience of look. It's one thing to be fast. Listen, you track fast, so you legit fast. Nothing against us football players, but you are legit fast.
Yes,
to go for being in the Olympics, what was more nervous? Being in the Olympics or putting your hand down trying to run a 40 for some scouts?
Well, track and field is just a little different. Okay, so I remember being the number 3 hurdler in the country. I qualified when I was 18 in 400 hurdles, ran a 49.8. Big East champion, the whole thing. Going to Olympic trials to run against Edward Moses and those people. That was not fun, okay? Let me tell you, because I was winning a race for the first 200. They were calling my name. After that, you didn't hear my name anymore. So my nerves are way worse running the hurdles than it was putting my hand in the dirt and running at 40, to be honest with you. I had a good idea what was going to happen in the 40 because my junior year of college, my teammate Brett Shields and I had just finished doing a full leg workout, squatting 225 a couple times, leg extension, leg curls and stuff. Come up and Coach Lewis says, guys, I can't figure out, is it your hurdle technique or is it your speed? But I'm going to find out today you're going to run a 40. I said, Coach, we just squatted. He said, still going to run the 40. So he put the thing out, measured it out, let us use the blocks. Brett and I both ran 4.28 that day. So I had a good idea of what was going to happen. I told him I was going to run 4.28, but ended up running 4.3 on Coach Carroll's watch. So as I come running across, Coach Carroll hits the watch and screams, gentlemen, he's legit. And I'm jogging back. And I see the guy, because they got the guy at the 20, the 30, and the 40. Yeah. So the guy at the 20, he's looking at his watch, looking at me, looking at his watch, looking at me. I can hear the guys and the other coaches saying, man, that dude just tried the world record for the 20-yard dash. And I tell the coach, I say, Coach, stop looking at your watch. I'm that fast. And the rest was history after that. I caught every pass, but yeah, there was some oohs and ahs. They were ooh and ah all the time. I could run back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Great insight. Great story. Before we get into the Panthers and specifically the NFL this week, you said the Panthers obviously were first class. Your time with them, you spent time with other teams, as you said, in the league. I only said the Panthers. Was there any other organizations that you played for other than the Panthers that you could say just great time there, established yourself, and were just out of this world? Just any insight that you can give our listeners, because this is an NFL-centric podcast. I want to just focus on the Panthers, of course.
Absolutely. There was nothing like being a Steeler man. I just got to be honest. The fan base is a whole – I've been to Scotland seeing people with a Steeler jersey on. I don't understand. There's nothing like – it's just different. And playing with Rod Woodson and LaVon Kirkland and Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd, Deion Figures, Big Eric Green, those guys, Barry Foster, Bam Morris, it was just a whole crew of dudes that, I had to prove myself. And of course, the receiving crew took care of me. Ernie Mills, Charles Davenport, Charles Johnson, Dwight Stone, Andre Hastings, and also Yancey Thigpen. So it was the 8 of us. Those guys took a world to care of me when I was there as a rookie. I had to learn 10 years of football, and thanks to Chan Gailey, I was able to catch up a lot. Didn't learn as fast as I wanted to, but I had some great times in Steelerville. They were top-notch times in Steelerville. I did.
Well, before we get into the Panthers, then let's start with the Steelers. Then they're 3-0 right now. They got the victory over the LA Chargers. Talk about Justin Fields, how he's playing right now, and the Steelers off to their 3-0 start.
Well, he's young. Got a lot to learn this game. Well, for me, for quarterbacks, from what I've learned, and I know that Ben can attest to it as well, it takes them about between their third and fifth year, really their fifth year, they've kind of seen it, just about everything. Adjusting to the speed of the game, the study time, the whole thing. So then they come along. But sometimes you have a guy, he'll do some Act Nicholas his second or third year and just hopefully manage the game or grow and they start scoring more points and stuff. I think the guy's doing a great job for the circumstances. They expected one guy to start. Now you're starting. And looks like he going to be starting for the rest of the year. Defense is clicking. They're not playing. Steelers are always trying to kill you out there. That's just one thing. Offensive, they can score some points. If they can be average 28, 35 points a game, they're going to be a real problem for some teams if they can, but they got to score more, I think.
Yeah. Russell, he's not getting that job back if Justin keeps playing like this.
Well, Russell understands the business. Russell understands the last thing Russell could afford to happen is he got hurt because he understands the show must and will go on. I don't even know if Miami got any more quarterbacks left. They went through every last one they got on Sunday. But I would be remiss, Ellis, if I didn't ask you. You mentioned Justin Fields, the culture in Pittsburgh. I've had teammates that played, at Pittsburgh, and they always talk about. They said, "Listen, man, the fans, the coaches, the culture of the Steelers. They've only had 3 coaches in the history of the National Football League. Mike Tomlin just carrying on. Just how much did the culture help Justin Fields, a guy that's former first-round pick, didn't work out in Chicago. Now he's moving on. Now he's looking up. He's 3-0, and looking at Russell Wilson saying, "Hey, man, I know it was supposed to be I'm the backup, you the starter. Now I'm starting you the backup." Talk about the culture of Pittsburgh and how it helps a guy like Justin Fields, who has a coach like Mike Tomlin, who can relate to him not just on the field but off the field.
Well, Steelerville it's a lunch pail town. Bunch of blue collar guys, bunch of steel mill, coal mill folks, and they're giving it all every day on their jobs. And their team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for him being there in that type of atmosphere, that type of positivity, that's a lot of pressure. Expect a lot out of you. And just like when I would talk with LeVon and the other guys in that culture hold you accountable. That's maybe something he didn't have at the other spot he was at. Nobody was being accountable, if you know what I mean. But this group of guys like, we got 6 Super Bowls. We've been falling short, and now it's time to, Ben retired. If they could get Ben out of a wheelchair, they do it. But Ben retires, and now, young buck, it's your turn to try to etch your name up there with Bradshaw and all these Gillum and all these other quarterbacks, man. Can you do it? And I think he can. If he buys into it, stays that humble, hungry lunch pail type of guy, and just throws it out there every Sunday or Thursday night, I think he could. The coach is going to be great for him. It was great for me.
Yeah. Switching gears now to the Panthers, getting their first win of the season in Las Vegas. Andy Dalton in for Bryce Young. Before we get to the game specifically, Ben and I talked about this last episode. But as a former player in the league, what is your view on the Bryce Young situation specifically? And not just him, really the early quarterbacks playing, the rookie, second-year guys that are kind of thrust in, if you will. And, because as a Panthers fan, I have said I think Dalton should have played last year and Bryce should have sat. Obviously, that did not happen. So thoughts on the Bryce Young benching? Will he be back in Carolina this season? Will he play again, or is he going to be out the rest of the year? How do you see this situation playing out before we get into the game specifically?
Well, like I said, young quarterback, I believe second year in. I was just down there with them for the high school opener, and I went up to him, and the first thing I asked him was, "Hey, man, are you healthy?" He said, "No, man, I'm good. So I was concerned about that. I'm a 6'6", now I'm a big fat dude now. I'm 270. I used to be a 220-pound receiver. But there's some guys my size out there waiting to try to kill the young man, So he seemed like he was in a great mental space, seemed confident, relaxed. But this game throws a lot of curves at you. A lot of curves, a lot of pressure. He got hit a lot last year, and if you back there got happy feet all the time, it's hard to lose that happy feet. And Ben knows 3-step, 5-step, 7-step play action. You got to roll outs, all that stuff. Man, I got to be able to handle all that and making these reads. So it's a lot harder for a younger guy to come in and do those things. So I saw the game and I went back and looked at the highlights. That redhead boy bad, as far as I'm concerned.
Talk about it. Let's go. Talk about it. Andy Dalton, 36-year-old Andy Dalton, 3 touchdown passes. He had a rope to Adam Thielen, who unfortunately left with a hamstring injury.
That sucked. Yeah, that sucked bad. Thielen that's one of the most underrated bad boys himself. Thielen's a bad receiver. I hope he gets back with that hamstring. But that dude was to me, he was unconscious. He made all the right reads. He's throwing the ball on a rope, and if he has to throw it away, he's throwing it away. They're running the ball effectively. I'm looking at the running back. I'm like, this is gonna be something. If young buck might not get back in there, you gotta go with the we putting everything on on try not to get snake eyes and crap out. So I think they could keep it on with him if he can keep that up, keep his confidence up, and if they can block. The offensive line has got to block and protect. If they can do that, no telling what they could do in their division.
They're second in the NFL right now in pass blocking. The Carolina Panthers O-line is, so that money spent by Dan Morgan and Brent Tillis this offseason, quite an investment for the Panthers. Ben, what were your thoughts on that game specifically and the Vegas thumping by Andy Dalton?
I was very, very impressed with Andy Dalton for this reason. Andy Dalton has seen the game. I know everybody want to talk about Joe Burrow and what he's meant to Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow hasn't gone to a Super Bowl, he has not played better than Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was going to the playoffs every year at Cincinnati, not every other year. They were going every year. That's being in the same division as Baltimore. That's being in the same division as Pittsburgh. I think the thing about Andy Dalton is because he's, an older guy, people just expect him to look his age. No, he knows the game. Like, he knows how to play it. And it's funny, I said this. These are the same players, same play calls, same formations. Execution is a hard thing. And the best players execute at the highest level. They're not better than everybody. I just execute better. And I think for Andy Dalton, he said, look, man, I'm closer to 40 than 30. I got to get this ball out of my hand. I got to run when I have to, not because I can. And I think for Bryce being the number 1 overall pick, sometimes they don't tell him the whole truth. Bryce, you can't do that. Bryce, you ain't going to make it. Number one, Bryce Young and big will never be in the same thing. He's not a big dude by any standard at all. So what he's doing is the things you get away with. I said this. The last time Bryce Young was on the best team in the country is when he left Alabama. That'll never happen again. And so for Andy Dalton, what Andy Dalton exposed was the offense is not bad. The players are not bad. The team is not bad. You see what Andy Dalton offense do for the whole team. Everybody started playing well because defenses want to play with the lead. Defensive linemen want to play, the defensive line want to get after that quarterback. Chuba Hubbard out there doing things he's done in college. And, and like I said, Andy Dalton makes the team better because Coach Canales is saying, look, obviously I had to say the right thing. Whoever's at quarterback at the time, I'm going to say the right things. But he was saying, look, Andy's our quarterback. I don't got to say a word. Look at that game. There's only one quarterback this season, even though it's very young. 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. That's Andy Dalton. Not Patrick Mahomes. Not Josh. Well, Josh Allen might get 14 tonight. He's playing Jacksonville. He might have a bunch at the end of this game. But I will say, what I saw was a team that played well together. It's not just because of Andy. Listen, it's just the fact that when you got a quarterback that's competent, when you got a quarterback that's confident in what he's doing, Andy said, look, man, I had AJ Green. That ain't AJ Green out there. You want me to throw a bang 8? You want me to throw a dig route? You want me to I got the number 2. It's only one offensive line blocking better than mine. And guess who's on the sideline looking at it? I told you, Bryce Young has never got to watch the quarterback position be played. Now he's seeing it. And I'm telling you what the scariest thing about what happened Saturday is this. I don't want to hear about that word potential. We all got it. We all got it. Right? All got it. Most of us will never live up to it. Andy Dalton said, I can play. That's what I can do. I can
still play.
Yeah, still doing it. And the thing is, now that Bryce can see it, Bryce can go, oh, okay, that's what y'all meant. Yeah, stepping into the throw, stepping into the pocket. Because sometimes guys are open, and when you flush out, you're flushing out for nothing. Guys were open, and when, so I just loved it. Obviously, I wish it wasn't again, as a guy that played for the Raiders. It was hard to watch, man, because I'm telling you, Max Crosby is a dude. He didn't look like a dude yesterday,
He was not 100%. But Taylor Moton, shout out to Taylor Moton, right tackle for the Panthers, Eastern Michigan, Max Crosby, and then Taylor Moton, Western Michigan. So they actually went against each other a lot of times in college. So Moton and Crosby very familiar with each other. Well, Coach, before we let you go, and I'll tell you, let you get into primetime scouting, let the listeners know kind of all about that. Was there any other games that stuck out to you yesterday in the NFL Week 3 edition before we get into primetime scouting?
No problem. Yes, Ravens Cowboys always stuck out for me, for all the Cowboy lovers out there in the world.
I was about to say, I hope you say the Ravens Cowboys, because the Cowboys are the evil empire of NFL, man. We come together as a nation to dethrone them we just had to root for the boys in purple and gold yesterday to do what they did.
I'm so mad I missed First Take this morning. I wanted to see Stephen A on there, buddy. I caught 1 or 2 clips on Instagram. I said, ooh, I missed it. I got to go back and see what he said. But boy, ooh, they are not looking good, buddy. Not looking good to me. I don't know what to say over there in the Big D. The Big D needs a whole lot more.
Yeah, Big D needs some big defense because good Lord, they can't. Woo.
I mean, Mike is one player at the end of the day.
No, listen. If you can listen, in the NFL, if you cannot stop the, I don't care. If you cannot stop the run, you're not gonna win a lot of games.
Just ran all over them. Just horrible. They got that number 7 and number 11 out there. I know they can tackle, but what is going on?
Hey man, listen. At the end of the day, I know that. Listen, once again, Dallas Cowboy fans, they're gonna keep on saying it's everybody else's fault. No. Jerry Jones gonna pick the team. He's gonna pay the team. And the last time Dallas won Super Bowls, the players that's on the team now, they was coming out the womb. Them boys just coming into the world when Emmitt Smith and the Big Three was doing what they was doing.
I hate to say it, I'm going to be the bad guy for real now. Might need some changes in management.
Listen. At the end of the day, Elbert, this was going to happen. Whenever you own something and you want to make every decision, dude, you're going to get the credit. If they win the Super Bowl, you're going to get the credit. But when I'm the owner and the GM and the decision maker, I said, dude, that's a level of narcissism that's even hard for even Jerry Jones. But he maintains, and like I said, nobody's going to tell him what to do. But somebody going to say, hey, man, Jimmy Johnson coached them teams now. I mean, I know you want to take credit for it, but, hey, man, nobody going to tell him what to do. Stephen Jones, if you won his son, you wouldn't even be the president, and you ain't allowed to do nothing but take pictures. You can't make no decisions, not without daddy around, but we'll see.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, before we let you go ahead and talk to us about what you're doing with Primetime Scouting after your playing days. This is what you're doing now, coaching, Primetime Scouting. Tell us about it. What are you doing? What is, for anyone who just doesn't know, and just insight us what our listeners can go check out with you.
Absolutely. So I am the volunteer lead scout and head recruiter with Primetime Scouting. A good friend of mine by the name of Mark Everett, he and I met at my godmother's sister's house, Brenda Armstrong, back in 1980. My big brother Lee McCrae brought Mark over there. Everybody knows Mark. Mark is the guy that runs with a crooked arm, the most horrible form ever in track and field you ever seen in your life. But he's the fastest 400-meter runner, 800-meter runner in the history of track and field. Nobody's ever run as fast as him. So we call him Mr. Three-time world champion, 3-time world record holder. Mark Everett, 3-time Olympian. So Mark and I sit and have a conversation. So the conversation starts with me being the jokester that I was at that time. I say, hey, man, why you run like a third-grade schoolgirl trying to pull her dress up with your arm all crooked like that? He started hollering, laughing, and we've been great friends ever since then. But I did not know that Mark was interviewing me back then for this position. He had been researching me, knew all about me in high school, knew about me in college, knew about my NFL stuff, but he said, Guy, you didn't have a problem with anybody in track and field. That's impossible. Nobody can do that. He said, you didn't have any enemies. People wanted to beat you. I didn't talk trash. I just ran, let the track do my thing. He said, everybody liked you. I said, I didn't even know that. That was amazing. But Mark is doing an infomercial back in 2018 and on Facebook and says, if you want to be a scout and if you got kids that want to get a guaranteed scholarship for college, athletics, or academics, inbox me. I inbox them, and I've been rocking with them ever since then. So what we do in Primetime, every day, every scout throughout the country, we're in every state, and we're international as well. We talk to 30 coaches, 30 schools every single day on behalf of our students and student athletes. We do all sports. It is a paid service, but it's the only service in the world with the money-back guarantee and with the most inexpensive. Anybody that comes into Primetime has a guaranteed scholarship. They have an internship inside their major. We vet the schools, guys, vet the coaches, make sure it's the right fit. We also have academic money, a plethora of it. I have more academic money than athletic money. But we speak on behalf of the parents and kids because coaches don't want to talk to parents because we're biased. We can't help it. It's just the way it is. You're going to say my kid is the best this, they're a hard worker, whatever, but it comes from people like yourself, Ryan, Ben, and myself that know this game, know sports. The coaches listen to us. They trust us, so we don't care who we talk to get the kid recruited. The janitor, the teacher, the kids, somebody's great grandma at the university, we don't care. We're going to get you recruited. We're going to get your scholarship, and it's a lifetime commitment from us. And a lot of times people sign up just for the internship. You think about when you guys were coming out, and I was like, oh my God, internship. What is that? I never had one of those coming out. I thought I was going to run track and play football for at least 10 years. Now I'd be on Sports Center doing Stu Scott's job when he, the great one passed away, Mr. Booyah himself, but life doesn't work out that way. So I needed prime time way back then, so for those who are, as we say in prime time, we're looking for those who are looking for us. If you want someone to advocate for you, to help you and stay with you a lifetime, no matter what, to help solve all the problems, help work through the transfer portal, help work for NILs and everything else, we're that team, we're that group. And I do 17-hour days. I'm a little lazy. Coach Everett does 24-hour days. He picks on me all the time, says I'm 6'6" and I'm bald and all that sexy Mr. Whatever, and give me a hard time. So lazy, blah, 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 whatever. I said, man, give me a break. But we work very hard. We don't take vacation days. If I'm on vacation, I'm working. If I'm on a cruise, if I'm in Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, it doesn't matter. We're still scouting on behalf of our students, student athletes. So wherever we go in the country, our kids are there and our parents are there. And we get that information to them, teach them how to navigate this whole thing called college and pretty much life. But in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Where can everyone find you on social media handles? Anything you want to tell our listeners? Where can they go find you?
Absolutely, and I'll be glad to pull those up and talk you guys through those really quick if you give me about 5 more seconds. And my email is pts. Just like my name, Elbert Ellis @gmail.com. I'll say that again, pts.elbertellis@gmail.com. They can also call me, text me, phone number 984-356-0818. They can go to our website, www.primetimescouting.com. If they go there, please leave your email, please leave your cell phone number, and please check your spam, because sometimes when we contact you back, it does go into the spam and we lose track of people. So we don't want to do that. But they can go to Facebook. You're going to see me and my beautiful wife smiling, grinning on my Facebook post, but I have some of my stuff still there on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, which I love, is E87. So to go to E87 on Twitter, I'm on Twitter a lot talking to coaches. People can inbox me there, go straight to my page, put something on there. Hey, contact me here, the whole 9 yards. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. And we're available. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Elbert, Coach Elbert, great to have you on Winning the Division NFL-centric podcast. Go enjoy the rest of these Monday Night Football games, and we'll talk to you down the road. Thanks for coming on.
Gentlemen, I thank you for your time. Thank you for having me on your wonderful, wonderful Winning the Division podcast. I look forward to hopefully coming back talking to you guys another time.
Oh, we're gonna have to have you back on. You played the best position in football. For those people who do not know, he played the best position in football, and we are the unsung heroes. But I like what you said. You said, listen, we are looking for those who are looking for us. I know a bunch of kids that's definitely looking for you. I will be sending them your way because, like you said, we got guaranteed scholarships over here. I will be sending some your way, sir. I appreciate you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Keep rocking. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys again soon. Have a great evening.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was Elbert Ellis, Coach Elbert Ellis, and he's a great guy. Great guy to get to know, and he brought it, man. How often will our listeners get to have an Olympian and an NFL athlete?
Yeah, that would be zero, and it's 1 in a million. Elbert is definitely 1 in a million. I think that what you appreciate about him is his honesty, his openness to just talk about his experiences and what he's doing now. Still listen, when you have a volunteer profession to where you get a chance to give back to student athletes all over the country, every sport, have more academic money than athletic money. But either way, I mean, primetime scouting, I would definitely be looking him up. I mean, what did he say? 984-356-0818, pts.elbertellis@gmail.com, E87 on all social media outlets. We will, and who knows, primetime scouting might end up, they probably gonna end up being a sponsor for this show because hey man, but that'll be down the line. But this is Win the Division. I am Ben Troupe. That is Ryan Smitty Smith. And listen, you either two things. You either in the division or win the division. We win the division over here, even though we ain't won anything yet. This is episode 5. Let's get back into these games.
Yeah. Before we get back into the game specifically, I want to just go over the week that the San Francisco 49ers are having. So I guess we can just go into that game. Last second field goal by the Los Angeles Rams, 27-24 loss by the Niners at SoFi Stadium. Javon Hargrave just announced he has a torn bicep. He is out for the entire season. And then Christian McCaffrey is now seeing a specialist in Germany for his Achilles tendonitis. So that game specifically sticks out due to those transactions with the Niners, and they are now 1-2 on the year. Did not have Deebo Samuel, did not have George Kittle. As we know, Christian McCaffrey was out. And Juwan Jennings, though, stepped up. 3 touchdown passes on the day. He, as Richard Sherman was saying on his podcast, he just doesn't get the opportunities because normally those guys are playing in front of him. He's a great player. The 49ers re-signed him for a reason. And now today, when he was called on to be the guy alongside Brandon Ayuk, he showed up. And Brandon Ayuk just got paid that money.
Yeah, I was about to say, you would think that Brandon Ayuk, since I don't want to say it's because he wasn't in training camp and signed at the end of training camp. Brandon Ayuk has not really been what we've grown accustomed to see him being playing this year. But Juwan Jennings, 3 touchdowns in any level of football, high school, middle school, college, but he did it in the pros, did it and was making plays all game. I think the thing about the 49ers is, while they're playing, Deebo was sitting there talking, sending out a tweet to Brock Purdy. They got a lot to overcome. As great of a defense as they have, and they do have a great defense. I think Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football. Take nothing away from other linebackers like Zaire Franklin and Quincy Williams, Quincy Williams and all those type guys. They can't find a way to beat a team because as bad as San Francisco is depleted, well, so is the Rams. The Rams got a lot of injuries too. That being Cooper Kupp and Puka and those guys. So it's not like that was the walking wounded game on Sunday. But I got to give a lot of credit to Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. They don't give those two guys enough credit for how well, because you need a coach and a quarterback that understand each other. And obviously Sean McVay called the plays, but Matthew Stafford is one of those guys, Smitty. Just give me somebody to throw to. Tutu Atwell is still – he was carving those dudes up yesterday, and it was just a great
game. But he's fast.
He is. Tutu Atwell, shout out to that Louisville Cardinal. Remember him when he was in college. But I think that, for me, I think it says something about San Francisco. San Francisco is a team built around the stars, and those stars aren't – either the stars aren't playing, Brandon Ayuk, Joey Bosa, either they aren't playing well or they're not there. And I think right now for San Francisco, you start saying to yourself, Smitty, this team is not going to look like this forever. Like sometimes this is a glimpse of the future and the present. How good of a team am I when my stars or my starters aren't there? People going, why does that matter? Andy Dalton. That's why that kind of stuff matters. I need to have a player that can still help us get wins. And I'm not taking away from the guys that are there, but it's like it's so much we don't know it shows how much Christian McCaffrey meant to the entire offense, not just the running game, but what he meant to the passing game. Because like I say, if you would have told me Juwan Jennings would have had 3 touchdowns catches yesterday, I said 3 against who? And he did, and it's much to do about nothing because I think the thing about football is I don't want to play well individually and lose. I want to play well and we win, but like I said, I don't know when Christian McCaffrey seeing a specialist in Germany. That's not good because that means that he was either going to try to come back too fast or maybe his injury is a lot worse than the 49ers are saying. And if he's going to be out for the year, just say it. Don't give us he's going to be out for 4. The new IR is you're out for a month. If he needs the whole year, give him that. But I know they signed him to extension in the offseason as well as him, Ayuk, but that was a great game. I didn't see it going that way, but I think San Francisco got a big problem right now because those stars that we mentioned, they aren't coming back anytime soon if Christian McCaffrey comes back at all this year.
Yeah. Injuries afloat for the Niners. They're the walking wounded, as you said, along with the LA Rams. And that was without Puka Nacua, without Cooper Kupp. 4/5 of their offensive line. Like you said, coaching with Sean McVay is a treat, and he is had to be commended, as you said, for that one. We got to a few other games. Let's keep going. The Vikings were winners 34-7 over CJ Stroud.
Woo!
And Sam Darnold, former Carolina Panther and New York Jet, found his way into Minnesota and his year in the Shanahan system with the 49ers last year. I think that's a big reason why he's playing well as well. Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold fit like a mitt and a glove. They are very well knit together. Justin Jefferson is playing back to his normal self after the injury last year. Aaron Jones, criminally underrated in Green Bay, and on my fantasy team as well, if I may add. And Sam Darnold's looking like an MVP candidate. Let me say that again. Sam Darnold is looking like an MVP candidate. 2 words I didn't think I'd say in week 3. But, Ben, we're here. CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, they're going to throw the tape. They're going to bury the tape. This is a bury the game for them. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Talk about this game and just what you thought of this game.
It wasn't close from start. I mean, this is one of those games that's why we need to keep the NFL the current year and not be looking back. Because everybody's saying, oh, man, CJ Stroud and company, I mean, I know Danielle Hunter, former Minnesota Viking, now with the Texans. I mean, Jonathan Grenard, former Texan, now with the Minnesota Vikings. Sam I Am threw the ball 28 times, 17 completions, 4 touchdown passes. Let me tell you why I want this type of quarterback. We get so caught up in how many yards. We had 300. How many touchdowns did he have? 4. So that's 28 points, right? Aaron Jones, I agree with you, Smitty. People always talk about, I mean, I get it. Everybody want to talk about King Henry, Derrick Henry, because how big he is. They want to talk about J.K. Dobbins and what he's been doing. Obviously Nick Chubb when he's healthy. Aaron Jones is a bad man. You don't believe me, even though ask the Dallas Cowboy defense about Aaron Jones in the playoffs last year. That dude is nice. He's nice. But it's all about Sam Darnold. And I think the thing about Sam I Am is it's not like Sam Darnold wasn't a good quarterback. Where did he get drafted to? The Jets. Because sometimes, Smitty, it is about where you get drafted to and the team around you, right? And I think, and I said, listen, brand new system. Obviously, he wasn't slated to be the starter. And shout out to these GMs who understand I need my backup to be just as good, if not better, than my starter. And then I was going to be better because the rookie was going to start. Obviously, McCarthy got hurt, but I'm enjoying this for Sam Darnold because he's been through so much. Number 3 overall pick. It didn't work out with the Jets. He ends up over there in Carolina. With Baker Mayfield. I think they was over there at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. So you got the former number 3 overall pick. But listen, not only, and for people saying, wait a minute, Sam Darnold, he didn't make it with the team that originally drafted him. Saquon Barkley was the number 2 overall pick in that draft. Where is he at? In Philadelphia. So sometimes it just takes going to another team. I am happy for Sam Darnold. He's no longer seeing ghosts. He's seeing real people. Their name is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and he's getting the ball to him. Shout out to Sam Darnold, man, finding a way to get it done in Minnesota with a team that nobody had, winning that division. Detroit can see. Green Bay can see, right? So shout out to Sam Darnold, man, finding a way to get it done, man. Really, 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 really impressive game individually, and a really, really impressive game overall by the Vikings because they made life rough on CJ Stroud. 2 interceptions yesterday, and that defense had no answer for that. That Houston Texas defense had no answer for that Minnesota offense.
Before we move on to the Saquon Barkley and those Eagles, I will say my prediction is if Sam Darnold keeps playing this way, even if they falter a little bit down the stretch, if they end up petering out because of something ends up happening, I said that the Vikings would be the best fourth place team in the entire league. And right now they ain't finishing fourth if they play like this.
Hold on. So if Sam Darnold if he stays on the track, and I mean stay healthy, keep playing efficient, right? And just say they're going to go to the playoffs. Just say they win a playoff game, and he's in the MVP hunt. He don't even got to win it. You know what type of contract extension he'll sign? He might not sign it with Minnesota, but I'm just saying, hey, he might be in it because I think he's on a 1-year deal with Minnesota. If he's in it, he taking them to playoffs and all these type of things. Hey man, shout out to Sam Darnold, man. I like to see good things happen to good people, man. Never met him before, man. It seemed like a good guy. You know, he always looked like a God. What is the character off The Incredibles? The one they was fighting, the guy with the red hair.
No,
That's who Sam Darnold looks like to me. Like when he got drafted out of USC. Hey, and for those of you who didn't see that Rose Bowl game with Sam Darnold and USC versus Saquon Barkley and the Nittany Lions, do yourself a favor, go look at that game. 2 stars. They were stars before that game, but the Stars definitely lined that game. They ended up going number 2 and number 3 overall. But shout out to Sam Darnold. He got Minnesota undefeated. They bringing on all comers right now. Shout out to them Vikings.
Yeah. We're not going to obviously go through all the games, but a few more that stuck out to me. I'll just give them to you in form, and you can take with them what you will. The Eagles over the Saints, 15-12. Devonta Smith left with a concussion in this game. Not good for the Eagles, but they were able to finish it out with Saquon Barkley, a 4-yard run, his second of the game. Had a 65-yard run earlier in the game to break their scoreless streak in the fourth quarter. They get the victory in the Superdome over New Orleans on the road. They hope to be back there very soon in the Super Bowl later this year if they can get there. But Eagles get the win. They improve to 2-1 on the season. And then the other game that I thought stood out in the early / late window that we haven't already talked about, let's clap it up for your former Titans man, Malik Willis. 30-14 victory over the Tennessee Titans with the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, he said, I got this, buddy. Rest, you come back against the Vikings. I got my former team here. Let me take the show. And Malik Willis, Titan fans are probably saying, who is this guy? Wasn't he on our roster at one point? Good gracious. And Will Levis just keeps making mistake after mistake out there. So those are two of the other games that stuck out to me in the early window. Those were 2 of the better games.
Listen, the Saints and the Eagles. If you're a Saints fan this morning, you're waking up saying, dude, what happened? Exactly. What happened? You want to know what happened? Dallas go there. He, DG as I call him, tight end for how in the world it's 4th down? He's been killing you all game. It's 4th and 6 or 7. He takes it like 60 on a shallow cross. All I'm gonna say is the Saints. Let me tell you something. The Saints have to look real good or real bad. They don't got to in the middle. I thought they were going to win this game. They gave Philly a gift, and they took it, and they get the big win. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I tell you, good teams find a way to win. Okay teams find a way to be okay, and teams that still got a question mark, that being the Saints, because you beat Dallas, and that ain't looking like much right now. Everybody's beating Dallas. We'll see what type of team they're going to be, especially with the Panthers coming with Andy Dalton and company. But then the revenge game. I said this. I kept saying this. You draft Malik Willis out of Liberty. The team wasn't really built around him, even though he did have Derrick Henry. He was young. He was green. He was raw. And I get it. But then the very next year, you draft Will Levis. I said, okay, I get it. 2 guys going back-to-back years in the second round. Will Levis, obviously. They didn't really want him around anymore. Coach Vrabel, he didn't really like Will Levis. I get it. Well, Vrabel's gone, right? He moved. They let him go. In come Coach Callahan. Now you got Will Levis. I kept telling people this. I said, Malik Willis is going to go up in Tennessee, and he's going to show him, all right. Well, number one, he knows the defense because he was a scout team. I know these guys. Jeffrey Simmons and company, even though Quadri Diggs and those guys weren't there, I know them. Honor Landry and those guys. Not only did he beat the Titans, that was not a game. He said, listen, I'm nothing against y'all in the 2-tone blue. Because Very, very professional. He said, look, man, these people drafted me. I have no ill will towards these guys. And when the camera went off, he said, when the camera cut off, he said, don't put this in the paper. I'm going to get them. Because sometimes, Smitty, listen, revenge is the best served cold. This is tea, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I was just happy for Malik Willis for this reason. I kept saying, the Titans need Malik. He needs time. They chose Will Levis. If you are a Titans fan right now, you're saying, like, what is going on with Will? No one knows. No one knows. But Rand Carthon, the GM, Coach Callahan, the head coach, y'all went into the season with this guy. And like I said, it's still a very, very young season. But I ain't seen nothing to make me feel good about with the Will Levis. Shout out to Malik Willis, man. For 1 week, he said, listen, man, Malik said they chose Will over me. Hey, man, I don't know what type of return on their investment they're going to get. But right now, it don't look good up there in Nashville. But shout out to Malik Willis getting that done.
Yep. Two others that I thought also stuck out in a positive way, and we'll go quickly on these. Bo Nix, best game of his young career so far, 26-7 win in Tampa Bay. Sean Payton is very familiar with the Buccaneers and his time with New Orleans, so that was not an issue there. Nix balled out. He was 25 of 36, 216 yards. Still waiting to throw a touchdown pass, but he did have a rushing touchdown. Good to see Baker and the Bucs defense. They were beat up, so I mean, I did think this game was going to be close. I didn't think it was going to be like this, and the Broncos were going to win. But they played really well. They definitely impressed me. And then we're quietly dismissing the Seattle Seahawks. They're 3-0. No one is talking about them. I'm sure that's where Mike Macdonald and that suffocating defense wants it to be. And I get it. We're going to harp on Tua. We talked about him earlier. He's on IR now. Skylar Thompson went out with a rib/chest injury. They signed Mr. Huntley from Cleveland, Snoop Huntley. So he might be starting for them next week. Who knows? But the Dolphins, their season's in jeopardy. Mike McDaniel came out and said, hey, I've got to be better. This ain't 2022 where we had the best offense in the NFL and I was coach of the year. And all of a sudden our season's on the line and our quarterback's nowhere to be found. So dark times in Miami, I think, coming up. Talk about what did you see from those two games?
Really, really impressed with Bo Nix. Really, really happy for him. I think sometimes we get caught up in the throwing touchdown passes. He's a really, really good player. And I think for what Sean Payton wants out of a rookie quarterback, I think he's that and more. Him and Cortland Sutton still got a nice thing going on. I think he's going to get those. The touchdown pass will come, but he's not turning the ball over. And I'm like you, Smitty. I saw it being a good game. I did not see it being a dominating game like Denver was able to do. They had their way. This is the thing about Denver's defense. I know everybody want to make it about Pat Surtain Jr. Look, when their defense, like they were on Sunday, they're going to be hard. They're going to be a hard out. Doesn't mean they won't get beat, but I was very, very impressed by Sean Payton and company, led by rookie Bo Nix. Now, I agree. Seattle, look, nobody wants Seattle to be good, man, because I'm telling y'all, if they are good early and they find their way late, their offense is as good as anybody. Geno with DK and
Kenneth Walker didn't play. Zach Charbonnet had his day. That's 2 in a row for Kenneth Walker the third. Once he gets back healthy.
And I think the thing about Seattle that we don't give enough credit for, Smitty, we always want to give credit to San Francisco with the team. We want to give credit to Kansas City with the team. We want to give credit to Pittsburgh. They got an incredible culture out there in Seattle. The culture is incredible because none of those guys are there anymore. No more Legion of Boom. No more Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, and Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor. Those guys are gone. That team is completely flipped on defense, and they're undefeated. In a division that everybody thought it was going to be San Francisco's to lose. Well, San Francisco is definitely doing their part, the losing part. But I just like the way they're playing because Seattle doesn't get enough credit for the style in which they play. Like they want to run the football, they're gonna try to beat you with the passing game with those receivers, obviously led by DK Metcalf and those guys. But their defense is good, real good. So shout out to Seattle. Look, everybody they play, they're undefeated right now. And like I say, as they keep playing and keep building confidence, I don't think nobody's gonna want to deal with it because people thought Pete Carroll's no longer there. They're gonna go in the dump. No, Coach McDonald, they got a really, really nice coach. Shout out to them Seahawks. Getting not a good win, an impressive win for a Miami team that, look, if you put so much money into your starting quarterback and you don't have a really, really good backup, that's not going to bode well for no team, especially a team with weapons. It doesn't matter the weapons that you have. If you take away Tyreek and you force Jalen Wilder to beat you, and there's no Mostert and A-Chain is good, it's going to be a long year for them Dolphins with a Buffalo Bills team that owns real estate down there in Miami.
Before we get into your Falcons and Chiefs from last night on Sunday Night Football, was there any other game that I did not mention that you wanted to get into before we got into your Falcons? I know there's a few I definitely left out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when Mr. Ellis was on, we was already talking about, them Dallas guys. I think right now things are really shaky up there with the Dallas Cowboys because, I mean, big-time expectations, not really finding a way to get it done. But Chicago, look, Caleb Williams, 2 touchdown passes this weekend, one to Roma Duze. I think the thing about Caleb Williams, Smithy, that we're not talking about is he has a Bryce Young type problem. He shows flashes, but they've thrown him in with these unrealistic expectations, and I just think sometimes they need to pull back a little bit because he's going to show some flashes, but I just don't see it turning over because we think just because you're the number 1 overall pick that you're just going to be this instant success. It doesn't happen that way. I think Chicago's defense is really, really good, but Anthony Richardson and coming over there with the coach, they got a big win, but I think Anthony Richardson, just like a Caleb Williams, they got the same problem. When you're so athletic, when you're so gifted as far as like throwing the football, you try to do too much. That was an ugly pick on the first drive for Anthony Richardson. I think he leads the NFL right now with interceptions. I think he got like 5 or 6. But I think that Caleb Williams, he's gonna keep growing. Finally, listen, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, they got 2. I mean, I don't know if Jaden Daniels has thrown in a touchdown pass yet. I know Bo Nix haven't. But I just think for me, I was really, really impressed by Anthony Richardson and the coach getting a big win against a Chicago team that, as long as Caleb Williams is the starting quarterback, which he will be, they're gonna have to give him time because I just don't think it matters about being the first 4,000-yard passer when you got to play the quarterback position more efficient.
You mentioned Jaden Daniels. I'll just for those who may be listening to this and not tuned into Monday Night Football. The 2 Monday Night Football games, one is at halftime. The Commanders are winning 21-13 over the Cincinnati Bengals. No touchdowns for Jaden Daniels passing. He's got 1 rushing touchdown, 4-yard rush, lead by 8 at halftime. And then the Bills are putting that bang thing on the Jacksonville Jaguars, 34-10. 5 minutes left in the third quarter rather. Is Doug Peterson going to be the first coach fired? I'm just going to throw it out there. I like Doug. Great person, great coach, Super Bowl champion with the Eagles.
Here's the thing. I mean, no. He won't be the first. I think Coach McCarthy might be the first because I don't think Coach McCarthy up there with the Dallas Cowboys, Smitty, was one of those things that you got him because of what he was to in Green Bay. But dude, he won what? I mean, okay, he won a Super Bowl. You had freaking Aaron Rodgers, and you went to 1 Super Bowl. You went to 1. You won it. And I just thought that they was the one thing I think that the reason why I don't think he's going to be there, I don't think his team respects him. They play for him. They respect his position as the head coach. I don't think they respect him as a coach. They respect his position. And I just think that the Doug Peterson experiment, Doug Peterson got hired because Urban Meyer was a coach. I'm sorry, but Smitty, me and you could have did better than Urban. Maybe not in the wins and losses, maybe not in the win column, but it was a catastrophe. Like, Urban Meyer was so bad in the NFL, people don't even talk about it. It was atrocious. Like, and that's the thing. When you try to get coaches based off of pedigree, Doug Peterson was really, really good in Philly, won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles because, I just think that for me, though, the reason why Doug Peterson needs to go, I don't know if he's helping or hurting Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is not getting better. And that ain't just started this year. Trevor Lawrence is not getting better because, one, you gave him the big money, which means, he's going to be the quarterback of the future. Well, that's because of the position. That's not because of how he's been playing. He's not getting better. And they gave him weapons, not just in the offseason, but in the draft. Tank Bigsby, and Travis Etienne, and Evan Ingram, and you talking about Christian Kirk, and the list goes on and on and on, and he's not getting better. So for me, I think McCarthy will be my first. I think Doug Peterson is going to be behind him because I think Doug Peterson and company is looking at the AFC South that you're not even being competitive in, and you might have a shot depending on how you start playing, but you start losing it. You start in the 0-3 hole. You're going to spend the rest of the season just trying to get back to 500. I think Doug Peterson is definitely going to be one of the guys on the chopping block. And I don't know and depending on how the season continues, he might not make the season because that's too much star power to be looking the way they've been looking.
No. Last game we'll discuss, and then we'll get into some transactions, and I'll get some predictions, and we'll have some overreaction fun to close out the episode. Kansas City, the Chiefs, 22-17 over the Atlanta Falcons. I know. 5-point victory. I'm going to spin it first. I'm going to be positive first. We all know the refs missed that call on Kyle Pitts. We all know that last night in the end zone. That was pass interference. But yeah, it's not the reason they lost the game. But it was a big call for sure. But here's my question. I'm going to spin it positive because I liked the aggressiveness because they had to go for it at the end there. But can you please explain to me in a positive manner what was Zach Robinson? What was he trying to do with that 4th and inches going east and west with the ball with Bijan instead of north-south with the run? I mean, why do you think he called the play to go east-west instead of north-south? Like, explain that to me because I did not understand that at all.
I didn't either.
It came down to the last
that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to lose. You call a play like that when you're not trying to win. This is why. That play hasn't worked all game. It didn't work in the first quarter. It didn't work in the second or the third. And here's the thing. You know who's one of the best linebackers in football no one talks about? Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton might be one of the best linebackers in football. Why? You know why he's one of the best? Because he keep on winning Super Bowls. Nick Bolton is a heat-seeking missile, right, at linebacker. He ran through and blew Bijan up. And here's the thing. It's 4th and 1. Just go forward.
Inches.
Here's the thing, ladies. Sometimes, right, you lose because you're doing too much. Look, if you don't get it, if you get stuff, listen, there go Chris Jones, who's arguably the best defensive player in football, definitely one of the best D linemen, if not the best D lineman. He's a monster. It's much easier. Listen, just take the road. Just take the easiest road. Why are you trying to go horizontal before you get vertical on a defense like that? Game's over. And you're right. You know what really ticks me off about the Kyle Pitts situation? Don't even try to get him the ball. You're not even trying at this point. Yes, he had the big 50-yarder, but here's the thing. Force feed him. Put him in. I think they got Kyle Pitts because of his athletic ability, playing more receiver than tight end, and that's fine. But I'm sorry, Smitty, you're not a good offensive coordinator if at the end of the day a 6'6", 245, 50-pound tight end who can run 4.4 has one catch or 2 catches for 59 yards. And one of them came on one play. That's the problem I have with it. Drake London is too good of a player. Bijan is too good of a player. And on 4th and inches, you trying to run a freaking sweep against Kansas City. The defense held Kansas City to 22 points. And I thought they were finna do the same thing they did against Philly. I said, look, man, they finna go down. They finna get a big winner. They finna get it's all for naught. Hey, man, like I say, great teams don't care how they win. They just care that they win. Good teams are always trying to find their identity in the middle of a game. You're not gonna find your identity 4th and inches trying to run a sweep. It's what could have been now, and now it's back to the drawing board. You had the world champs on the ring. You didn't beat them. Amen. It happened.
Yeah. Real quick though, before I move on, I cannot move on before I talk about Carson Steele. His sister, I don't know if you saw this. His sister got married yesterday.
Yep.
And now they had a fall wedding. We won't talk about all that. I mean, we didn't have a podcast also called.
It happens. Carson, I'm gonna get you on the pod one time. It happens, sir. It happens.
Yeah. But this man, Isaiah Pacheco's out. He with a shin injury, and so he'll be back in a little bit. But Carson Steele comes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also out for them as well. And Carson Steele comes in, and it's like they don't miss a beat. I mean, that Andy Reid puts him in, and he just starts. he just starts running big first downs. He had some tough running throughout the game. He has a great story. He has a pet alligator for us Gator fans here.
Yeah,
pet alligator.
on a pet and listen. Now hold on. Now he got a pet alligator. If you saw the picture he had on the Kansas City Chief hat, his mouth was taped. Now he ain't just sitting there, but he's on the couch. You know, hey man, Carson Steele is built. Carson Steele is why we love football because of the stories. What started out at Ball State, went to UCLA. Andy Reid was a big fan of his. Got a chance to see him play a lot in college. And I just think, you know, him being an undrafted free agent, when you're on a team like Kansas City, that's how good they are, right? Pacheco gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gone. Got an undrafted rookie. Not only do we give him the rock, we trust him with the rock. And, you know, on third down, on first down, to pick up the blitz. Got the long hair. You know he's gonna have long. And his sister was actually getting married. They got him up on the big screen. Shout out to Carson Steele, man. I mean, he's one of the feel-good stories in the National Football League. And like I say, they said, Carson, listen, when you ain't here to just have a feel-good story, we're gonna need you to block for 1-5, and we need you to tote the rock. The young man, I like running backs and they got no wiggle to them. I'm gonna run it straight at you. I'm a bull in the china shop. Let's get it.
Let's get into some of these transactions, injuries and non-injuries alike. Sam Darnold, no structural damage to his knee, so it looks like he's going to be fine starting against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. We already talked about Javon Hargrave for the 49ers. Derwin James was suspended for 1 game for an illegal hits, I should say. And speaking of the Chargers, Joe Alt has an MCL sprain. I hate to see that for him. He played so well first 3 weeks of the season. Lions defensive end Marcus Davenport out for the season with a triceps injury. And then finally, free agent Yannick Ngakoue reuniting with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, Yannick Ngakoue. Listen, Yannick Ngakoue was out of Maryland, got drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars, been a journeyman like with the Ravens and the Colts. But shout out to him, man, going back to the Ravens, man. Yannick Ngakoue back in the National Football League, trying to bolster that pass rush. You listen, you can never have enough pass rushes. You can never have enough DBs. You need both. Shout out to Yannick.
Yeah. Any of those other injuries or transactions stick out to you from the ones I
Joe
mentioned?
Alt, I mean, I feel bad for him. I'm happy for Sam. Listen, happy for Sam. I am Darnold though. I mean, I'm happy that it's minor. He's going to be, because you know how it is, Smitty. You don't want him to finally get going. Injuries are always the biggest derailer. It's never the games, it's the injury. So shout out to Sam I am, and hopefully he'll be able to play. Like I say, dare I say, Minnesota is a team to beat in the NFC North. Love Detroit, right? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you got to deal with Green Bay, and the Bears. Well, hey, man, it's going to be a long year for them, man. I mean, I know they was on Hard Knocks and all that kind of stuff. They on the slip and slide or whatever. That's cool. Sam, I am saying, listen, man, I know they got a redhead, you know what I'm saying, down there in Carolina. Yeah, we got a redhead up here in Minnesota, too. You don't mess with a redhead that can sling that thing. Be nice.
Yeah. Well, before we close it out with some overreactions and predictions, I have to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, who we talked about earlier. Not only are they pondering a quarterback change, but can we talk about the business decisions that Antonio Pierce talked about yesterday? Okay, so I did not play in the NFL. You did. So I'll ask this very simply. Can you enlighten our listeners who may not know what he's referring to when he says some of their players had business decisions that were being made yesterday in their loss to the Carolina Panthers, number one? And then number two, if you were on a team that was getting whooped like that, and you've had some games, obviously you said in your career, does that happen? Does every team does that happen to a lot of teams because they don't want to get their bodies injured? They don't want to, it's a blowout and they just want to move on to the next week. So talk about those comments and kind of what they mean for that going forward and for that team.
So business decisions for the fans who don't know what it is, that means when you're turning stuff down. That means, listen, it's like this. This is the easy way to do it. Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos. There's a fumble. Cam Newton runs up to the ball and he doesn't get it. That's a business decision. And the thing about it is everybody saw Cam. Here's the thing about it. Yesterday, I'm trying to tell y'all, they didn't want to deal with no parts of Carolina. I'm talking about Andy Dalton is doing what he want, how he want, when he want it, every single drive. That game wasn't close. And people started saying Antonio Pierce, for those of you who don't know, Antonio Pierce, former New York football giant who won the Super Bowl, you know, who was the heart and soul of that defense that had Michael Strahan, right? They had Jason Pierre-Paul and those guys, Justin Tuck, they're everywhere. He's the one that managed that defense. He ain't gonna sugarcoat it. He's not a sugarcoater type coach. He's saying, hey man, those guys are making the business decisions on Sunday. We're gonna be making business decisions on Monday. That means, yeah, there are gonna be some guys who are gonna get called and say, hey man, what is this? Because at the end of the day, Smitty, this ain't college. You get paid to play. You get paid to do it. And we don't pay you to turn stuff down. And it was ugly. And as a player, if I'm on a team like that, I'm like Crosby. I'm calling guys out, but I'm not calling them out by name. I don't gotta do that. I'm saying, hey man, we need to look in the mirror. He's saying we need him. When I say we, I'm including myself because I'm on this defense. I'm on this team. But that was hard to watch because we were just expecting Carolina to look like Carolina looked. And Andy said, not on my watch, bruh. Y'all didn't listen. The reason why people say Mason Crosby and that defensive line didn't even sniff Andy Dalton, they're the second in the league in pass blocking. Second. So I agree with Antonio Pierce. It's going to be hard to watch that tape today. There are going to be guys that are going to be going home telling their wives and girlfriends and family, yeah, I can't be playing. I can't be doing that. Because too much goes into it. So yeah, a lot of business decisions was made. A business decision, for those who don't know, yesterday against the Cowboys and the Ravens, Diggs, the cornerback, there's a play. He's standing right there when Derrick Henry comes through the hole. He's standing right there to make the tackle. And what does he do? He dives on the ground and he tried to. We call it the blind tackle. He's just trying to throw his arms out there. Because he didn't want no part of King Henry. That's a business decision. And guess what? The same thing that Antonio Pierce said to his whole team, Coach McCartney and Coach Zimmer and them need to be saying it, whomever to the whole Dallas Cowboy defense. It's a lot of business decisions being made on Dallas, and it ain't good. That's why they still ain't got a dub this year.
Yep. Well, last 10 minutes or so of our show tonight, I'm going to introduce a new segment, and we are going to do this every week. I did not consult you about this beforehand, but I think you'll like it. That'll be the very last thing we do. I want to get some predictions from you, overreactions, week 3 into the season before we get there, though. We're going to go winless teams, and we're going to go undefeated teams. I'm going to ask you the question. I think you know where I'm going. So we got the Buffalo Bills cruising tonight. They'd have to blow a gasket to lose this league. I think it's 37-10 at the current moment. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs. You got the Minnesota Vikings. And you got the Seattle Seahawks. We've got 5 undefeated teams in the NFL. Let's just take out the Chiefs. Let's just pretend the Chiefs didn't exist for a second. For the other 4, who do you think has the best chance of staying undefeated the longest?
Woo! Vikings, Steelers. You know what? I think a team that got a shot to do it is the Seahawks. Because I think the thing about the Seahawks is, the reason why I say the Seahawks is they got a solid foundation around them, right? Everything is solid around. Quarterback position, solid. Running back position, solid. Receiver, solid. Defense is playing well as a group, very, very solid. Now, I like what Pittsburgh is doing. Pittsburgh got T.J. Watt. You know what I'm saying? They got Hayward. You know what I'm saying? They got some players, right? They got Joey Porter Jr., but they also got Justin Fields. And the thing about Justin Fields is while he's playing well, he's not doing anything, right, to put him in position to lose, but he's also not really doing a whole lot to make him win. He ain't making mistakes, right? The thing about the Vikings is I just want to see if they can keep it up. I mean, I think they got a really, really good shot. They're a really, really good team. But give me them Seattle Seahawks finding a way to get it done. You know, they looking at Pete Carroll every day saying, listen, bro, we appreciate the foundation that you started. We're gonna carry on this down and give me them Seahawks.
And then we got the winless teams, 2 of them in the AFC South, your old division, Jacksonville Jaguars and your former team, the Tennessee Titans. And then right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are staring at 0-3, 21-13 deficit as of now into the mid-third quarter. I'm going to say, I assuming you think the Bengals are going to turn this around at some point. So between the Jaguars and the Titans, who's going to be last to win a game? I'm going to be nice, and I think everyone's going to win a game, but who might be on a long streak before they win?
For me, I think it's still going to be the Titans because I think sometimes you have to, we always talking about looking in the mirror and, the Jags, they got too many veteran players that they'll find a way to figure it out. The other Josh Allen that plays defensive end. I mean, you talk about Javon Walker, you talk about, everything, and even though he's hurt right now, Christian Kirk and Bigsby and a lot of guys. The thing about the Titans is I don't see a turnover with Will Levis. I'm not seeing he'll have some really, really good moments and then he'll have a bad moment. And I think the thing about the Titans is DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks, Calvin Ridley. I'm just not seeing it. So for me, I think it's going to be the Titans because I think sometimes Coach Callahan, listen, 2 weeks ago, Coach Callahan runs on the field. He said, "What the expletive are you doing?" That Will Levis does something like that every week. So for me, I think the Jags will find a way to get a win, and maybe they're going to have to play the Titans to get a win. We'll see what happens with that. Well, I think the Titans are going to be the last one to get one because, Smitty, we have to be honest. We thought it was a problem with the Panthers. No, it was a problem with the quarterback at the time. You put the right quarterback in, these are the same players. Same plays, same calls. Look at what happens. Will Levis is running out there on Sunday. Right? Will Levis is going to run out there on Sunday, and we're going to see. So for me, give me my Titans. They're going to be the last one to get a win. And dare I say, this is going to be – people don't realize how much Derrick Henry meant to that offense and that team. Oh, you're realizing it right now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Titans, next week there on Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. We have another doubleheader next week for Monday Night Football. That is one of the games is Tennessee at Miami. Not going to be part of what I'm about to say. So I'm going to introduce. I know we're not going to go through every game every week because we obviously have a lot to talk about. But I'm going to introduce a new segment, Ben. We're going to call this Top 5 Games to Watch. And we'll do it for each week coming up. That way we give you guys a little snippet of what we're thinking for for the upcoming week. We had to get our feet under us, 3 weeks in. But weeks 4 through 17, we're doing this. We're each going to give you our top 5 games to watch. They could be the same, could be differences. I'll go first since I created the segment. Here's mine. Bengals Panthers, number 5. Red Rifle coming back to Cincinnati, Cincinnati coming to Charlotte, rather. And the Red Rifle in Dalton versus Joe Burrow, who might be 0-3 coming into this game if they do not change their fortunes. I am personally rooting for the Bengals to come back. I do not want them pissed off on a short week against my Panthers, so I'm hoping that they come back. That is number 5 on my list. Number 3 on this list, or number 4, rather. Vikings, Packers. This team, both of these teams are playing great football. You've got Jordan Love coming back, maybe. You've got Malik Willis. If not, you've got Sam Darnold playing MVP caliber football. Like I said earlier, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson. And then you got the diva of receivers over in Christian Watson. You've got Jalen Reed. You've got Romeo Doubs and company. And that is going to be a good one out there in Lambeau for a 1 o'clock start. Number 3 on this list, and most of these are 1 o'clock games. Why are these 1 o'clock? I don't know, but they are. Number 3 on this list, Saints Falcons. I know might be a hot take. Saints, we'll see if they can bounce back. Falcons also trying to get back to 500. These two teams do not like each other. This is a divisional matchup in the dome. Which dome, you ask? That would be Mercedes-Benz Superdome. No longer in New Orleans. That's in Atlanta now. Caesars is now the Superdome title for the New Orleans Saints. So give me Saints Falcons as my number 3 game to watch for. Number 2 on this list, Sunday Night Football, Bills Ravens. That is going to be a really good matchup between Derrick Henry and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson as well. Obviously the reigning MVP on Sunday Night Football next week. And then my number 1 game for week number 4. Give me the other Monday Night Football game, the Seattle Seahawks traveling to the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, 8:15. Jared Goff versus Geno Smith. Kenneth Walker III, we'll see if he can come back for this game. DK Metcalf, Almiron St. Brown and company. Those are my top 5 games to watch for week number 4.
All right, my top 5. I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5-1. I'm gonna go 5-1. My 5th game. My 5th game. I think I'm gonna listen. Dallas at the New York Football Giants. Why? Because I thought the Giants were gonna be the worst team in the NFC East this year. No. Malik Neighbors, for people who haven't seen it. Listen, Malik Neighbors, they say he's on par to have over 100 catches, right at 1,600 yards, like 20-something. The young man is, if you haven't seen him play, listen, Odell Beckham 2.0. I don't know what it is about these LSU receivers playing plug them in New York. He find a way to get done. My number 4, I think, was your number 3. It will be them New Orleans Aints versus my Falcons in the dome. This is the real dome. They got the Superdome. They got the Mercedes. We got the Mercedes-Benz dome. Ain't nobody worry about the Aints. Don't want to hear about, they gave a game. You lost. Get over it. Both teams coming in with a loss. Both teams, listen, the Falcons had a chance to win. New Orleans gave the game to the Eagles. It should be a really, really good game. There's another game I think off the radar. Everybody think because Aaron Rodgers had a good game. Denver at the New York Football Jets. I think this is going to be a better game than people give it credit for because Bo Nix is a guy that's really, really good at handling defenses because he's mobile with his legs. He can get outside the pocket. Hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet. I guess you haven't thrown one yet. I don't know if Sauce Gardner, those guys, going to let it be the first week you get one. But Coach Eli, they're going to have a really, really good plan for him. I'm looking forward to that. My number 2, I think, was your number 1. I think my number 2 is Seattle. Woo! At Detroit. Man, let me tell you something. When you talk about coaches coming together, right? Both of these teams are gritty. They want to. DK Metcalf was built in the lab. He don't like DBs. He's a monster. And Detroit, they want to plummet you. They want to beat you into oblivion. This is going to be a really, really good game. But my number 1. Listen, everybody want to talk about the premier quarterbacks. The premier quarterback in the world is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, boy. But then there's a guy up there in Buffalo, and there's this guy in Baltimore. Buffalo at the Ravens. This has fireworks written all over it. I get it. For people that want to see defense, no. There's going to be some offensive fireworks, and I'm telling you, Lamar Jackson, when he plays football at his highest level, he makes it look easy. He toys with people. He's running down the field, pointing at people. You can't outrun him. And look, and I'm going to say this, and people can get mad. When I look at Josh Allen, what I see, not the exact same, it's Cam Newton that's throwing the ball efficiently. That's what I see because they both big and can run. If Cam would have just worked on his, they're not the same player. They're not. I'm not. But if you haven't seen that, listen. And for those who thinking I'm out of my mind, just go look at Josh Allen rushing stats and touchdowns. He has a bunch of rushing yards. He got a bunch of touchdowns. But I just like to see elite versus elite, So give me Buffalo at the Ravens, number 1, Seattle at Detroit, Denver at the New York Football Giants, New Orleans Aints at my Falcons, and you talking about Dallas at the New York G-Men of them Giants. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a great set of games. We got some great ones. And G-Men, do me a favor. Just keep Dallas losing because when they lose, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys like we got a contract with them or something, man. But a great set of games in week 4.
Yeah, and Brian Burns finally showed up for the Giants. He got a strip sack in their victory.
You got to get some time on the investment, right?
He finally showed up, finally making his money, that $30 million that he got paid there. Anyway, this is Winning the Division. You're either in the division or you are winning the division. You can get us on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube page, youtube.com/Tobacco Radio. You can also find us on the audio version on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. But we are specifically on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network and also Fans First Sports Network. You can look those up on Twitter at Fans First and at KP Pounding _FSSN. And rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcast because we want to know how we're doing. We want to get some comments, get some questions. We want to know what you guys want us to talk about because you're the fans. You help us drive this. We want to see and know what you guys want to talk about and what you guys want to hear. And lastly, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching and just giving us this time with you every week. We're going to be here. We're going to be rocking it out. We're going to be crying with you. We're going to be excited with you, whatever your team is. Us Panther fans, we've won 3 games in the last 20. So there's been a lot of crying in my household when it comes to.
Listen, I'm a Falcons fan. So listen. I don't know what Smith. I don't know what y'all running joke is in Carolina. Ours is always 28-3. No matter what, it's 28-3, 28-3, 28-3. Yes, okay, but it's cool. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, this is Winning the Division, episode number 5. Again, rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next time. You are either winning the division or you're just in the division.
Peace.